This is Eagle Out, and let's get straight into it. Jeffrey Lurie. Jeffrey Lurie spoke to the media yesterday. He spoke about new GMs or assistant GMs coming under Howie Roseman. Spoke on the Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts. He touched on a lot of things. So I would recommend going to the Eagles page and just watching the interview. He spoke a lot of insight on why he do the things he do, or why he moved the way he moved, as far as running the organization. But it got to the end of the interview, and one of the reporters asked a great question, something about like what's basically more important, offense or defense. And this is what Jeffrey Lurie had to say. And when he said this, it automatically made me think about the draft. But let's get into what he said.
Scheme that you guys have
I think I can.
What you guys have had before.
Right. I think I can answer it a different way, which is offenses dominate in this league. We had an outstanding defense this year. I think we were number 2 in defense, number 3 and number 1 or 2 in pass defense, and record number of sacks, and outstanding defense, outstanding offense. I mean, it was why we dominated the season. You come to games with great quarterbacks and Brady, Mahomes, Jalen, Nick Foles when he played that day. Offense is dominated in this league, and that's why we've always focused more resource allocation, on making sure we have an outstanding offense, because it is very hard to stop. I'll add Jalen to this. The Jalen Hurtses, the Patrick Mahomes, the Josh Allens, the Joe Burrows, the young guns and the old guns, Aaron Rodgers and all that group. It's impossible given the rules of this league, and I think. I think it was maybe started back with Andy, but we've always wanted to have dynamic offense and know that you can have a really good defense, but it's very hard to stop a really dynamic offense. In our 2 Super Bowls, neither offenses really were stopped very often. And I'll go back, 1:43, 1 timeout.
All right, so obviously Jeffrey Lurie prioritized the offense over the defense. So I just went back and did some research past 10 years of what positions or what side of the coin did we draft, offense or defense. So I went back to 2010, and these are the defensive guys we drafted: Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, Marcus Smith, Derek Barnett, and lastly, as we all know, Jordan Davis. So if we get anybody from the defensive side, I think it's going to be a defensive lineman just based off of recent history. So Jalen Carter, we might get him, or we probably will get him. Or if we could trade up a bit, maybe we trade up a spot or 2 if he's falling, get him. But what recent history is telling me, or what Jeffrey Lurie is low-key hinting at, I think besides the quarterbacks, the first best offensive player coming up, in my opinion, is Bijan Robinson. And it sounds like he want to make the offense dynamic as possible. If you make the offense dynamic as possible, your best bet is getting Bijan Robinson. The offensive line is already intact. You got your receivers. I didn't even mention that, him trading for A.J. Brown, because A.J. Brown don't technically not counted as being drafted, but during the draft, we made sure we got an offensive weapon and a defensive weapon. So don't be surprised if something like that happened again. But the opposite way, we trade for a defensive weapon but draft an offensive weapon. So him saying this, man, it made me really think like, yo, we might get Bijan. We might get Bijan because he's saying like, yeah, we was this, that, ranked this and that on the defensive side, but When you play dynamic quarterbacks, the Patrick Mahomes, the Jalen Hurts he put in there, the Aaron Rodgers, these certain guys, it doesn't matter because the game is so geared towards the offense. And I think he's starting to look at it the way I look at it. This is what made me change about, you know how they say defense win championships? Now I'm really starting to lean toward offense win championships. It's when the Rams couldn't do it. The Rams had that dynamic defense. And they had Jared Goff, who is improved now, but then he was more of a game manager. That's why the Rams traded him. And the Patriots couldn't really score, but they made one play. You needed a play from Jared Goff, and he just couldn't do it. Another Super Bowl I think about, 49ers and the Chiefs. 49ers defense was dynamic, but Jimmy Garoppolo and that offense couldn't get it done. And the shift the Seahawks made, the Seahawks was like, forget the Legion of Boom. We want to keep Russell Wilson because quarterbacks and a good offense is hard to find. A good offense will get you to the Super Bowl. I think a great offense will win you the Super Bowl. A great defense will get you to the Super Bowl. In today's age, I'm not talking about the early 2000s or the 90s or the 80s. Yes, at that time, defense won championships. But this time, I think 2015 and on, offense won championships because the game and the rules is so against the defense. Defense can't hit like they used to. They can't hit the quarterback like they used to. They can't hit the receivers like they used to. They can't really even be aggressive like they used to. Yeah, you want your defense to make a play or two, but your offense got to be dynamic. Like when Nick Foles won it, he was streaking hot. Like unstoppable hot. Like if you bring those guys like Trent Dilfer and those guys into the game today, they ain't winning nothing. I'm telling you. That 80s whatever Bears defense, they not winning nothing. Like, and it's ironic because if we bring that the greatest show on turf in today's game, they might win a Super Bowl or two. I'm just saying, it's crazy how the game flipped. But hey, man, what do you think and how do you feel, man? I think Bijan Robinson is an Eagle, man. I think he'll be an Eagle unless Jalen Carter fall. I like how Jeffrey Lurie's thinking in the future. Today's game, offense is key. But this is Eagle Al. I'm out.